Hi, Matt. Welcome for our Simplexity podcast series. When I was thinking about adaptability, I couldn't think anyone else other than you, for the very reason that the background of what you have, you started as a chartered accountant and went on to launch 9 companies, and then you became a CEO of a company where you are helping a lot of people in the growth. And also, you did not confine yourself to that, but then you made industry agnostic, and you are into construction, you are into IT business, you are into business consulting, digital media marketing. Over and above, uh, the one which you helped me is on the books. So you are a writer who helped me in writing, and also you guided me how to go about in writing. And over and above what I am doing today, you are an expert in that game, that is having a podcast. You have been in podcast for almost I think 2018-19, so a long time. This is Matt for us. Matt, welcome for Simplexity series, and we would like to hear from you how the adaptability is required for us, the way we progress in our lives, and also what we do. How does it help us?
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you for having me. Firstly, Deepak, it's really great to be here, and I'm excited to see you, I guess, embark on a bit of a podcasting journey as well as a book journey and other things. And it's a privilege to be invited to come and join with you and talk about this chapter and adaptability. I mean, I had lots of ideas that came to mind and we talked about it as soon as we mentioned adaptability. But as you read back, I guess my sort of bio, so to speak, I'm like, yeah, I suppose you're right. There's a few different things in there, and it doesn't really. I guess maybe the first thing I'll say on that is that you don't necessarily feel like you're doing all those changes and adaptations at the time, I suppose, in my point of view, but you just follow the thread of where things are going and what you're working on, and you're in the exact same boat I see now. Like this is one of your first few podcasts, as far as I know, and you just have to get in there and start doing something, and action sort of just continues on, and the next thing you know, you can. I guess people would have said that you've pivoted and you've been adaptable and done something different. So, at a very philosophical level, I never really see it like that way. I don't go, I need to be adaptable here. I just find that there's different ways of doing things present themselves, and I follow the thread.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that easiest said than done. What is the hindrances you think that we all have when we get onto this adoption journey, especially when we are talking about simplexity and simplicity in adoption? What are some of the challenges we go through that we will get overwhelmed by not doing it, or fear of unknown? Basically, this is something which I thought I will check with you on that.
Yeah, I think we just, at a fundamental level, I think we just get too involved with our head, and we have access to information and data, probably maybe a little bit too much, and that access is fantastic. It's obviously amazing, and when you're analytical and you like to research and all those kinds of things, the world is at our fingertips, right? The world is in the cloud, in terms of information. But the only way you adapt is by doing something. And the challenge with, I see, Simplexity is the perfect word for it, because really all you can do is take the first step, take some action, and that then leads to some form of knowledge that you're crafting and building, that sort of, let's call it experience. And only from experience can you essentially make things simpler. So I find if to, like, without using a specific example, but maybe like a flow model of things to explain that, I'll think something's really difficult. I'll probably have already seen the simplest way to do that thing. And then I went and focused on more and more and dug deeper and deeper and then built out all this information and made it really complex. And then I try and execute the complex stuff. Like, this is assuming I do it, but then I try and execute the complex. And as I work my way through the complex and you end up back at the start, the simple way of doing it, like that, it was always there. We decide that it has to be harder than maybe it is. And I feel like that's a really normal flow for me to go through with something new. I'll spend maybe months procrastinating on how difficult a thing will be, only to actually spend like an hour maybe finishing that task, if that's the case. And I think something like media or podcasting and these types of things are really, really good examples, because I've given many keynotes where I'll talk about how to set up a podcast and what to do and how to leverage social media. And so many people are just like, I don't have microphones, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do all these things. But you could literally just pick up your phone and start talking to it if you want to get started. And I think that's the we know that simple version is there, but then we let our ego sort of like slide in the top and go, you know what? It needs to be a great microphone. It needs to be recorded well. I need the strategy down. I need to know what my 23rd guest is before I can pick my first guest. I need this, I need that. I need to know what platform. I need to know the thing. Like, this is just what our brains are wired to do, right? And I'm massively guilty of all those things, but somehow every now and then I manage to work my way into that new thing and get it done. So, yeah.
I think that's how you motivated me when we spoke first time, almost a year back, when we were talking about a book, and when you presented me your book, which is there in my library there, The Donkey. Yep. You said start writing. So that's the first message you gave me. And also when we are going through so many changes in life, especially in the book, we talk about too many migrations, too many places to go. Similarly, we change so many jobs, right? So many jobs we change, so many professions we change. How does that impact to the family? And also, how does it impact on us? And where do we look for strength? In the book, we talk about the family as one of the key one, but then a lot more. How do we pick it up and how do we take it forward?
Yeah, look, I can only really answer that by thinking about my own example. And I think it comes down to your, like, lifting your values and I guess your true north, your sort of North Star, your purpose above all the doings, because all the doings don't necessarily matter in the outcome. And so I think, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think my job changes / business changes or any of those types of changes I've made in my life have ever really changed what's happening with my family. Like, we might have moved somewhere or we might have made an adjustment, but we still largely at the core stayed who we were. And you mentioned leadership and that in the book, and particularly, the matriarchal type, leadership position, and how strong that is. And I think that's what it comes down to, like the core values of a wife holding a family together, or from a mindset perspective. Those are the things that are strong. So I've worked in different businesses, but also within those businesses, and for example, the last 10 plus years, I've been serving and supporting other businesses. So there's hundreds of them. So I'm always doing something different. They look similar, but they're often different. And I guess what you talk about, that the adaptability is bred into how I do what I do. So there's always a change. It might be going to this place or that place or doing something else. But I think I've certainly learned to keep that structure stable at a core purpose and a family level, and then that allows me to flex into what I do with my work.
That's amazing. Some of the things which you brought out is purpose and leadership. Those are the two things, and the North Star is clearly makes difference when we have to do. We will do it, and but then it's an important thing when you mention that family should not be impacted and will not be impacted, because that's the way we plan around the changes what we do. And that's something which Vijay, when he went around the world with his small kid, like me, he has traveled almost 11 countries he lived in, and I lived in 9 countries. So every time is a new thing and new stuffs to start. So some of the things you mentioned right now is, if we have to do it and if it is good for our lives and for families, it is good to go around and doing it. Thank you. It's really how it goes into the DNA of what we do on a daily basis, especially when you are working with so many clients, and everyone are different. Everyone's thinking is different, and getting into their shoes and trying to be who they are and helping them. As a business coach, it was not an easy thing. Thank you. And we move on to our next thing to understand. Can organization foster a culture of adaptability among their employees? And also, there is a lot of churn going on, and also there is right now we are talking about hybrid model, and there is a 4-day week coming in very soon. And then there are some leaders who are calling the people back to office, like, forget it, come to office for 5 days. So how do we have been adapted for this lifestyle now, and how do we get into that if that has to happen?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, just to roll back on the last bit of the conversation, because I just think it's worth saying, is that it doesn't mean the family's not impacted. It's just that you have the collective North Star of what you're trying to do. And I think, like in your, both of your examples of moving around, it was like each time it's like, no, this is the right thing for the family, so this is how we'll do what we'll do. I mean, you make that decision at that level, which is a more holistic family level than, oh, this is the right thing for me or my career or whatever. But that I think segues into this point about the adaptability and the big changes that we've seen really since COVID, and like that already was happening in some industries and not in others. So if you were a coder, you might have been working remote for a long time, working because they found the talent. You'd largely be doing something that you could sort of see if someone was writing code, whether they got their work done that week or day or month, and move on. Whereas other people, like more administrative based activities and things, we just sort of expected those people to be office bound. And we've now realized that maybe they don't need to be as office bound, and maybe we can offer some more flexibility. But I think it's really organization specific to the extent, well, for a few reasons. One is like, how stable are you as a business and your industry? Because if there's a really clear set of SOPs or just ways that you go about what you do, that's a little easier to just allow people to be remote if you've got the right tech that just allows you to do that. Because whether you're doing it here at home, it's clear, the expected outcomes, you can just move forward and do those things. If you're in a smaller or more disruptive movement environment, it's a little harder. And in that situation, you have to communicate and find really, really strong ways to bond as a group. But it absolutely can be done remote. I don't think there's anything that can't be done remotely, in truth. Like, all client meetings can be remote, which is your external customer facing thing. I mean, we're only really talking about like manufacturing and types of activities that literally have to be in a particular location, or construction that has to be on a site, so to speak. Everything else I think has flex, but you then move into culture and these other areas where you start to dance between like what's right and wrong. And my other big piece, the other big point I wanted to get across here is, it's all about the top. You can dance around all day long saying, oh, we're an adaptable culture, we're this, we're that, this is the type of business we are. You can say that at a keynote, you can do all those things, but if you're not actually living that as the leadership team, then your people will not follow through. They will not believe they can, because they'll more follow what you do than what you say. And I think that is one of the challenges that still a lot of businesses face within their they say a lot of things, and organizational leadership and culture has been well documented and talked about. How we need to, it's more than just all the reasons we've talked about. It's more than money. Employees want not just money, they want all these other factors, but you have to live it from the top. The values are really important. So that's a long sort of long preamble, but that's really how I see it. It's really unique to the business. It's unique to the how you want to go about your business, and leadership has complete control over giving that culture either life or for it to be dead, which is something that's talked about.
Thank you, Matt. Well said. Actually, if we start living what we preach, I think most of the problems will start getting solved, and that will lead to the culture, basically how the culture of the organization thrive. So thank you for that, and we try to understand.
Can I ask a question back on?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question back on that? Just for so in your experience, and then how is shifting between all those cultures in moving to those different places impacted your perspective on that, on leadership and change, and do you know what I mean? Because there's always there's big and little things that we do differently in different countries, and that, I've always been a big believer on insight. Insight's a big thing, and adaptability comes from insight. In many cases, because you might be traveling somewhere, or you've been involved in some work in a country, and you're like, oh, they do it like this, and then you go back to where you are working and you're like, oh, we could do that, or there's lots of things. So the breadth of locations of living, I would assume you see different aspects of culture. How have you been able to use that to integrate into what you do with your work?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Matt. When we went to New Zealand, except for New Zealand had a cricket team, I didn't know anything. And then then what happened is, during my IBM days, there was one coach who came to our office, and he showed haka. So before the All Blacks game, he showed how haka has been done. And those are the two things which I had when I went to New Zealand. But when I landed there, I didn't know anything, just that I know a few people in the office. But then I was taken aback by the culture of the people. Such a nice, sweet people around. You walk in the roads, people greet you, talk to you. I was in Portugal and US, okay? Just before going to New Zealand, I was in US, I was in Germany, right? So I have seen how people are there. And I was in Singapore too. But then here it's contrast, totally contrast. People talk to you as a human first, and respect you as a human. And I stayed very close to the beach. And when I'm walking on the beach, it is like, I couldn't believe that everyone speaks to you, wishes you in the morning, and talks to you, how are you doing? And it is not how you might, it's not that. Like, people stand and talk, telling that, how are you? What's going on in your life? That was amazing. That changed my perspective of the culture. And I started adapting it, taking a break, getting back, looking at what is important. Then I always worked in the services industry. In the services industry, it's more of everything has to happen like this, and there is no scope for any delays or all the other stuff. But then here, when I started working there, people were valuing who you are as a person and what is important in life for you, and then the job, right? So that definitely changed my overall view of how can we work it differently. That gave me very clear focus of, okay, 8 hours, 9 hours I work, I finish off this and get off and do my stuff, right? And then came summer, people start at 6:30 in the morning, finish off by 2:30, that's it, and they're gone. So that's a separate new thing for me. Like, if you do your work and it is valued, what more do you need? So those are some of the things definitely helped me when we moved from New Zealand to Australia. When we moved to Australia, I went around all the cities, and I'm lucky that I am in Perth today. The same thing. The vibe of Auckland was always there in Perth. So here it took time for me, only for the reason that I landed, COVID came behind me. Just 2 months I landed here, COVID came in, and then I had to go through, like everyone, we went through a big thing.
You hadn't built a network and those types of things, so you sort of, okay.
Yeah, so that took time, but then one thing helped me is during COVID I got a dog, and that dog got me a community in Williton, right? And every evening, irrespective of whether people are there or not, the dog community used to meet, and that is still community, I still have it. So this is how the culture changed, and this is how I adapted to everything. I started playing cricket in New Zealand. I played cricket here for the clubs, and then I went on to do community work, and right now I am part of Rotary. I'm doing that startup. All that, engaging myself and giving back to the community is something which I learned. And the other thing is, like, I can keep crying, telling that, oh man, there's so much going on, nobody cares about me, nothing is happening, nobody helps me. It is not that. It's basically how much I can put my foot forward so that someone can help me, right? If I put 2 steps, there might be someone who can drag me out of the water. So that's how I think about adaptation. It is a tough one. My son did not like it. My son did not like when we moved from New Zealand to here. It took a lot of time for him because he left all his friends, and as a teenager when he moved here, he didn't have friends. So it was a big challenge. As a family, we worked through that, and touchwood, he has a good friends network now, and in uni having great thing. It is difficult, but then when we look at the overall where we are today, how it has helped us, we are very happy. And as you said, the purpose is having a better quality life. That's the purpose. Our purpose is that better quality life. So that's something which I'm enjoying. Thank you for asking that. And it's been support of great minds and great souls like you around, helped me to be what I am today.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. And one thing I was just picking up off that, and it was definitely mentioned in this chapter as well, is it's a great life isn't necessarily easy as well. And there's for it to be rewarding, there's often things and challenges you have to move through, and it's not just we don't just sit up and have our feet up and watch the 5-day tests every single time they're available, and at any time. Sometimes we can, but it's not always easy, right? Sometimes we have to do difficult things, and sometimes we have to make a decision to let a staff member go, or sometimes we have to think, oh look, the best thing for our family now is to take our teenager to a new city. We know we don't want to do that. And I think that's where that underlying value comes in. It's like, we have to make these collective decisions at a family unit type level and go, this is the right thing for us. And, that it might be for work, it might be for other reasons, but we have to look at the bigger picture, because I think we're incredible beings in terms of how much capacity we have and what we can truly get done. Most of our time, I think that was wasted, is indecision and not being honest with ourselves about what we need to do. And that circles all the way back to the starting point about that procrastination piece.
Yeah.
Like, we could do that thing in an hour, but we spend 6-9 months thinking about it. Or like in the case of a book, like massive congratulations for getting this done, as I've given to you, but now I'll crystallize it on a podcast, because we talk about it, and I'm equally guilty. We're going to write, we're going to do this, we're going to do these. It's actually not as hard as we make it out to be. We just don't do it. We spend more time and put way more energy into this not doing version of it. We've got plenty of time and plenty of capacity. We either need to decide that it's not right for us, or just do it, just start, and I think that's what makes it powerful. And yeah, it's like shifting that many cities is a testament to going, look, we know what we're doing. We know we need to follow through with who we are, and sometimes everyone or someone in the family has to do a hard thing, and that hard thing isn't even that decision. When you get here, for example, and then COVID happens, you're like, okay, well, I thought I would do this and that. Now I have to adapt. So I have to find a way to join a dog walking community, or, whatever it is. And, that's obviously a personal context sort of business, but still personal context. But it's the same thing in business. If you're a large company, I need to talk to a different department. Maybe they do something differently. If you're a small company, who else is going through these challenges and who has dealt with these challenges, or which industry knocked this on the head years ago, but our industry hasn't, because there's probably something to learn from. So I think that's the power of it. It really is a way of living. Adaptability really is a way of living. And I'll have to raise it because it needs to be said. And the Kobe Bryant quote that's in the book, obviously, I think I have actually spent episodes talking about Kobe Bryant, but and he's got lots of great quotes, but the quote is actually in relation to, I've got it here, so I will read it.
Yeah.
And it's, I'll do whatever it takes to win games, whether it's sitting on the bench, waving a towel, handing a cup of water to a teammate, or hitting the game-winning shot. And I think that is so profound, right? Because yes, the game-winning shot is important, but then he knows, hopefully like the rest of his teammates know, that their North Star, their truth, what they are chasing is that win, that championship. And he has the humility to go, okay, maybe I'm not the guy that hits that shot, but I'll help get a towel for the guy who might take that shot, or, make sure that guy's hydrated, whatever it is, right? But just do whatever it takes to get to the outcome. That for me is true adaptability. And I think in the case of entrepreneurship, a lot of people that haven't stepped into that realm just think, oh, you're running a business and you're doing all these things. But what they often don't necessarily realize is you might be the guy selling the big project, and then 8 minutes later, you're also the guy cleaning the bathroom because the cleaners aren't coming for another 2 days and someone's made a mess. And so you're on the floor doing the let's call it the most menial task that was done there today. And you're the high flyer that does the thing. That's just business. That's just life. Sometimes you just got to get things done. And when you've got a global superstar like Kobe, who's an absolute champion in terms of work ethic and everything else, which led to championships, I just think it's a great metaphor and a way to just remind yourself that, we're not above these things. And sometimes doing that kind of hard work is exactly what will get you the result, and it is also rewarding doing that work as well.
Oh, thank you. I think you nailed it in the last Kobe's quote. I love when he says that. When I see him playing, man, I became a big fan of him. The only because his work ethic, and three things you touched upon is humility. However you are, whoever you are, humility is the first thing. Then the other one is discipline of doing it. Do it and ensure that you do it regularly. And the last one is the courage of taking that chances, embracing those golden opportunities, whatever they are. These are the three things I would recommend definitely to all my friends and family members and the whoever I know. Is these are the things which will take us a long journey. right? So that's an amazing thought, Matt. Thanks a lot for your inputs onto adaptability, and you being adapting so much into every day there is a different glass for you to adapt and showcase
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for your insights into adaptability, and thank you for your support. You have been fantastic for me, and I know all your clients would say the same thing. And yeah, is there anything which you would like to talk to your viewers and tell them how could they reach you, for what they can reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, firstly, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see you when we first talked, and you'd done a little bit of writing, and it was just one of those projects that was sort of sitting there and not quite, and not coming to, not that you're not on pause or anything, but there's still a lot of work to do, and it's amazing to see it come to life. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I know that feeling from getting out the book, the Donkey and the Sea Turtle, which you've got on your back wall, which is a obviously a children's book, but not really, kind of for adults, and a lot about hard work, but also from other projects. So I really value that, and thank you for having me on. Yeah, look, I obviously work in the realm of business and marketing. I've done for a long time. If anyone wants to have a look at anything I do, they can check me out across all the social medias at Matt J. Hanham, and at mattjhanham.com, but also my business, which is really in the helping businesses grow and expand. And I'm on my business website is visible.com.au, so you can check me out there. I do some podcasting, other things. So yeah, if you find your way to my ecosystem, I'm sure there's something there for you. But it's just been a privilege to be on. So thank you very much for having me.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Such a nice words. Thanks again. Thank you.